When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the Wild. Septum Sin versus the Wild. Septum Sin versus the Wild. Septum Sin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! We're going to get a little bit closer down here.
Yeah?
Welcome to Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen, this is Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here to bring you a top 10. This one's a special top 10 because this is our top 10 anime. Because this is a objective, I believe that's right. Or is it subject? Subjective, wouldn't it be? My wording is
Personal lists are highly subjective.
Yes.
However, I guarantee you these are mostly or all going to be objectively awesome shows.
yes. So because of how personal this list is, we're going to be doing, in a way, I call it dueling top tens, even though we're
Yes.
really not fighting each other over these.
We could.
But I wouldn't want to hurt my boxes throwing them at them.
Right.
So we've got our giant boxes,
Right.
as you saw in the thumbnail, to try and hide them from each other so that we do not spoil each other's
Right.
picks. So we're each going to just take it one by one as we go down, and we're going to talk about why the show is awesome, what it's about, and why we like it so much and why it's on our top 10. You might see the same show twice, so you might not need a
You
full...
may even see some of these. I thought for objective, talking about objective versus subjective, as a fun comparison, I compiled the current top 10 of series from Anime News Network's
Oh,
list.
so what do they have?
Their number one is definitely Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
Ah,
followed by Steins Gate and Clannad After Story. Those were obvious.
I've never seen Steins
Rurouni Kenshin Trust and Betrayal,
Gate. Understood.
Code Geass, Lucia the Rebellion,
Understood.
R2, Cowboy Bebop, Mushishi The Next Chapter, The Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Mushishi, and Made in Abyss.
I haven't seen some of those.
I have not seen some of those myself, so I can tell you straight off, some of those will not make our lists, but some of them will. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting touchstone, because you will find, when it gets to the best anime, you will find that there is a lot of agreement, but there will be some very divisive ones as well. And
And the numbering, there will be some, I think, that we will definitely be hitting on the same for each other, but probably different in our numbering.
probably.
So I'm going to start us off with my number 10.
Ooh. Oh yes, I need to make sure to...
And this is one that I was surprised when I was looking through all of this, and these are ones we have to own physically, because this is a physical media channel. And I was looking at this and I was realizing how much I really liked this series, which is strange because when we first previewed the series a long time ago, I did not like this. I was turned off terribly by the first episode. And what I am
I
talking
think I know
about
which one you mean.
is Hanasaku Iroha.
Oh.
So I have the three here, which I think one of them might be a movie, but it's
Yeah, so it doesn't count.
But I like showing off these nice NIS sets because they are really cool. I was lucky enough to have the premiums. I think you have the premiums too, don't you?
Of the series, I have the standard of the movie.
I think that's the movie, isn't it?
Right,
Because you can see it's even a different type.
right.
It's more shiny.
Shiny.
So shiny.
Yes.
I gotta find a place to put these darn things.
Yeah.
Over here. Get out. But this is a series about a girl. I better show this better without the movie sitting there. About a girl, and she's the main one here. Her parent is not a very good parent, in my opinion, and decides well, I'm going to chase this guy. You're going to go to your grandmother's.
Mm-hmm.
Grandmother's never had contact with the family after mother ran away. She runs this inn. So she ends up getting there, and everyone hates her. Despite her best interest, everybody hates her, treats her like garbage. That's the first episode. So the first episode is just this cascading torrent of negativity. But because I was dedicated to buying these NIS sets, I went ahead and got this. And I gave it a chance. As I went through this, I came to actually like many of the characters I detested, including the mother. I didn't mind her at the end of this. And it showed depth of character, really good voice acting, and wonderful art direction. To me, this was a huge turnaround story, which makes this my number 10.
And as he mentioned, I do own it, and I did watch the first episode, but unfortunately I have not yet gotten to properly watching it. And I tried, actually, I'll go ahead and say, I tried preparing for this. I thought I would go through some of the high-profile ones I had so far missed. I did watch Steins Gate in preparation for this, and I am almost done. I have not completed, but I'm almost done with Kids on the Slope. And they are both phenomenal series.
Oh, they are.
But neither one makes my top 10.
Neither has
But
mine.
I have not finished Kids on the Slope, so it might be able to pull something in the final, you know.
Yeah.
And also Shirobako and K-On! Came so close. So close. But I'm starting with one that, objectively speaking, could easily lose its slot to any one of those four. However, subjectively, this one is tremendously important to me as an anime fan, as a manga fan. Even though I have not yet read the manga, I know of it. But I'm a big fan of the mangaka behind it. And my favorite anime character remains a character from this series, the character Ukyo Koonji. And I am, of course, talking about
Ping Pong Club.
Ranma 1/2. This is part 1,
Not Ping Pong Club?
featuring Ranma Saotome. Part 2, that is Akane Tendo. Part 3, with Ryoga Hibiki. Part 4,
Well, you brought the whole thing.
Shampoo. What do you think I have this big box for? Part 5 with Ranma's sad father, Genma, which more explanation on that shortly. Part 6, there's Ukyo, still my favorite anime character. And Part 7, Ranko Saotome. Ranma 1/2 features a very intriguing hook where Ranma and his father, and Ryoga, and Shanpu, and a handful of other characters have been to a famed cursed spring in China known as the Jusenkyo Springs. It's a famed training ground, but if you fall into a spring, you will become whatever last drowned in that spring. And the curse is triggered by cold water, and it's reversed by hot water. So Ranma becomes a short, super fast, red-headed girl. His father becomes a panda. And Genma, of all the characters in the series, prefers his cursed form. Shanpu becomes a cat, which Ranma is deathly afraid of cats. And Ryoga becomes a little piglet. And it's appropriate because he is a very pig-headed character and kind of milks that in a way that makes him a bit of a pig. But at any rate, the show also is, the other hook is, it seems to exist as an excuse to come up with any new form of martial arts imaginable. The Ranma's, the Tendos, the Tendo Dojo is where everyone ends up living, is a school, depending on the translation, is the School for Indiscriminate Grappling is
Yes.
one of them. Or what was the other?
Otome School,
Anything goes. Anything goes martial arts.
yes.
Ukyo is an okonomiyaki chef who actually has a special form of ninjutsu that incorporates okonomiyaki, and she has that enormous spatula as one of her weapons. Shanpu is a Chinese martial arts warrior, and her would-be betrothed Moose is obsessed with gadgets. And I think Moose is your favorite character, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. And of course, there's a lot of other amusing little running gags. You know, Ryoga cannot find anything to save his life at all. To save his life, and his eternal refrain is, "Where am I?" But it's a great show. It is not the greatest show out there, but I love Rumiko Takahashi. It's a Rumiko Takahashi series.
Yes.
This was my primary introduction to her. And I have gone on to watch Urusei Yatsura, Maison Koku, most of the shorts, most of Inuyasha. I've not yet watched the final chapter, and I've not yet watched Rinne. But I'm a big fan of Takahashi, partly because she makes very rich, full characters
Yeah.
that don't really... She has archetypes that she uses. Shampoo is basically Lum Invader, but more annoying. But they don't really fit other archetypes all that well. So, and plus the series had some great theme songs. I think it was season 5, the closing theme was called Hinangeshi, is one of my all-time favorite anime themes. And I totally forgot, and I'm kicking myself for this, I totally forgot to bring the OVA collection, which I still have in storage and I should have brought. But the OVA collection features a song called Boku Tachi wa Kore Kara, or Us From Now On, that is one of my all-time favorite openers. I just love it. So it's a great show. It's a great fun show. But again, I will admit I'm starting off more for sentimentality than anything else.
Well, I still need to watch my my copies of 5, 6, and 7,
Right.
though I've seen it
But you
before.
got the super condensed.
Yes.
I want to get those. See, this takes up a lot of room.
I used to have the big boxes of
Yeah,
those.
you had the
though.
really big ones.
Yeah.
This was the condensed version, and then now they're coming out with the really condensed ones. My OVA set and my movie set are both single collections. Combined, they're probably just a bit thicker than one of those. But, yeah.
Well, I, of course, did not bring all of the series that are massive on mine. I just brought kind of representatives of the massive series.
Yeah, you
I
didn't
didn't
even
wanna-
have anywhere to take them. You
I
10
know.
feet.
But I don't have very many on my list that are massive. Just, I think, 2 entries.
Okay.
But this is not one of them. Number 9. Matter of fact, I can just play this number because it'll represent both of us.
Ah.
And that will be Gosek.
Oh.
This is one that I watched in streaming, and I was so eager to get this. It took so long for this to release. I was so eager to get it, I bought it in the 2 parts, which I usually wait until it's released in one collection, which they have done by now. And this is a really interesting and creative series. It is about this guy who is going to college in in Europe, and he sees this mysterious tower. At the top of the tower is this strange girl who is incredibly intelligent, but has been confined to the tower for mysterious reasons. And they get together to solve occult mysteries. It is a really well-written show. Has some of the coolest opening and ending tracks that I have heard. I think Unity is one of them, which is really good. It to me is just spectacular. A great look, wonderfully written stories, and a lot of the time creepy atmosphere, which is kind of cool. If you like Black Butler, you will love this. It has a lot of the similar concepts to it, but to me it's a little bit more anime-y than the other one. But for some reason, I can't help but love this series.
I don't know if you're trying to point that out as sort of like a fan service or whatever. I guarantee you that.
Not a lot of fan service. But
Well, I mean, you're playing like the lowly goth or whatever. I guarantee you, CL fills that bill for some people.
yes, I'm sure.
But at any rate, my next one, and actually I'm going to mention as well, that's another one that I think we previewed the first episode.
Yes,
And I've been wanting to see it, and I just have not I have not actually gotten around to getting it yet, but I want to. The next one on my list is another one that I debated putting for the simple reason that it's technically not finished. They did put out 2 seasons, but season 3 was announced last year. It's, for various reasons, has been delayed until the fall of this year, but it is coming out. So it's technically not complete, but the first 2 seasons do form a pretty solid series on their own, and I cannot imagine season 3 changing my impression of this one. I absolutely loved this one. I just instantly fell in love with it. And that is the show Chihaya Furu, which this is the complete, when you put seasons 1 and 2 together, you've heard my complaints on this series about how they did that. But when you put it together, this is how it looks. And I have all the bonus features crammed into this one little thing here. But this is a really cool, as I've said before, it's got a really cool matte finish box. I love it. But basically, the show follows Chihaya Ayase, who is a supermodel pretty girl who is a complete social idiot because she is obsessed with the rather arcane Japanese card game of Karuta. And big part of the reason why is her childhood friend Arata, who she desperately wants to reconnect with to prove herself worthy of, whatever. He is the grandson of a man known as the Eternal Meijin, Meijin being the highest rank of the game. And the queen is the highest female rank, and this girl, Shinobu, is the queen at the start of the series. And then you got Seiji's the third person in their little group. But Seiji and Ayase put together a Karuta club at their school, which these people on the cover are the various members of the club in the first season. They pick up 2 more in the second season. And it's just a great show. As I've said before, it's essentially a shoujo sports anime, which is a really weird hybrid. And it is probably the best sports anime I've ever seen. And I just, like I said, I absolutely love it. I love the opening themes. I love the art style. It's just really well done. There's a damn clip show in each season, which hurts its value slightly. And the fact that it's not finished, it might go higher on my list once it's officially finished. But I did feel like it was worth putting it on as of now.
Number 8. This is one that you have seen already before on this list. I only brought one to represent. And that is Ranma 1/2.
Ah!
So this
See, it's much more compact.
is season 2.
See, well, let's do a comparison.
And this one is, of course, I've got the premium edition sets
Nice.
for this because this was my very first anime. Now, very first is not necessarily true because, of course, there are all these anime that weren't really anime, that we didn't really think of as anime, that we discovered later. But this is the first one where I knew it was anime. I've read all the manga. I collected it as it came out in the States, from when they were little comic book forms. And this is my favorite season. This is the season that got me into everything. It has Ranma and Juliet, which is my favorite storyline of the series, especially in the comics because it was even funnier there. And it has my favorite theme song of the entire series, Little Date.
There's a good one.
It's the one I think of whenever I think of Ranma. But I remember getting this originally on VHS tapes, recording episodes from the local video store. I didn't feel bad about recording those because they had taken their one thing and recorded extras on theirs to loan out. So it was just an amazing series. And I feel like it missed out by not finishing up because there were a lot of cool things that followed where the series ends. Eventually he takes on a god and actually beats the god. And you almost get to see a marriage.
Which the taking on the god, it's a big thing in this series, but for Son Goku it would be Thursday.
Yeah, he's nowhere near Goku's level.
But one thing I forgot, you talking about, one reason why the sentimental value is there, he actually showed me the second movie probably 5 years before I actually started watching the series. And I had barely any recollection. I just remembered this amusing, weird anime movie he showed me. And I got through the entire... Yeah, there's Moose. And Cologne is Moose, is Shampoo's grandmother. She's great. And we didn't even mention Happosai, the one of the biggest perverts in anime history. But I got through the entire series, and the OVAs, and the first movie, and then on the second movie I was like, oh, this was the one he showed me. That was fun.
There we go. That episode.
Well, yeah.
So,
I do need to read that one of these days. The OVA does spot check a lot of the stuff that was later in the manga. I think it introduced a couple characters, like one episode each. So it was kind of their way to catch up a little bit.
And they did introduce Ranma's mother at the end of the seventh one, but they do not introduce Ryoga's love interest.
And there's a much more recent OVA that really needs an American release. It's never gotten one. That was a fun episode.
One moment.
All right. So, continuing with we're on number 8, right?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is also one that is very important in terms of my evolution as an anime fan. This was one of the earlier series that I saw that was a serious drama. And it was easily one of the first ones I saw that I liked, because I think he tried to show me Gantz, which was... This was one of the earliest ones I watched that was bloody as hell, and I loved it. And I can blame this series for helping start to turn me into the bloodthirsty bastard that I'm becoming.
Ping Pong Club?
No, that one made me bloodthirsty for different reasons. I am talking, of course, of the short, fun series that is very popular here in the States, Elfen Lied. This is a really, really good show. It is one of the bloodiest shows that I enjoy, and I do enjoy it. The opening 6 minutes are full of violence and nudity and all the things that, people like. And if you can get through the first 6 minutes, you can take the movie as a whole, the show as a whole.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really well done character study. Lucy, the main character, is a Diclonius. It's a race of mutants who have horns, and they also have invisible vectors, which are essentially, they're like invisible arms that they use to... They can do all kinds of nasty things with them.
Rip people to pieces.
Rip people to pieces. And most of the Diclonius age very fast. But Lucy is almost human. Like, she is the queen bee. She's almost human. She doesn't... But she does have, I think, 4 vectors that are about 6 or 8 feet long. And she is very, very good at using them. There's also this character, Lucy, not Lucy, what was her name? Nana, I believe her name was, who is like the super innocent girl. And then there was Mariko, who, she was a twisted piece of work. And then you have 2 high school students who, Lucy, during the opening sequence, is winged by a bullet, becomes amnesiac, and is found by a couple of high schoolers. and she goes by the name Mew because that's really all she can say. And eventually she has a split personality. Eventually Lucy comes into play, and she's being hunted, and she's being, it's a really interesting series. It's really dark. It does have some great, like I said, great moments of character development. There is some extreme brutality in the film, or series, so be aware of that.
They kill a dog.
Yes, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But definitely worth a look if you're into something a little darker. And this edition, I did have the nice Diclonius Report edition that was ADV release, right? Sentai saved the film from, actually it still has an ADV label, even though Sentai put it out. Because they did take over some of the ADV catalog.
Yeah, I downsized mine as well.
But this edition actually has an OVA episode that I've never watched, so I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
Number 7. I do apologize if my voice is going a little bit. It's still not used to being at full strength, so hopefully it'll last throughout. This next one, oh, there's one before, is one that is on the top 10 list that you were talking about. And it's one that's usually in many people's number 1 or number 2 wheelhouse. It's not my number 1, but it is a spectacular show. It has some of the best music in all of anime, and some of the best known characters, fluid animation, and just a general rockin' plot. And that is Cowboy Bebop. I've got here the Bandai Anime Legends collection here, which is rather cool. I like the colors that they put on the discs. Cowboy Bebop takes place in the future, where you have these bounty hunters, Spike, and God, what is his partner's name?
It's Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, Faye Valentine, and
eventually
and Ed. I'm not even going to attempt to say the full name.
You forgot
and
I was thinking you forgot the most important one. But it's really just Spike and his original partner at first. Eventually, what happens is they pick up these people as they go by. Like Faye has been frozen in time and awoke in the future, and is a manipulator, and she uses her body as well as her wits to manipulate people into doing what she wants and trick people. And Ed is a computer genius and generally odd individual. And Ein is a super dog. Super smart dog. They call it a data dog.
Right.
And Ein is a corgi. They're having Ein played by a husky in the live action, which...
What?
Yeah.
You gotta have a corgi.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah.
But this film has spectacular music. When I talk about bebop, they really are right along the lines with that. You've got blues. It is just in general excellent. I think that by this author, gosh, what is his name?
Shinichiro Watanabe.
Watanabe, one of his best works.
Yeah.
The plot line and the characters defined, it's beyond what most people have put together. And I believe out of a lot of these so far, this one is one that I could show to people who do not like anime, and they could most likely get into this.
I showed the movie to my father, and he enjoyed it quite a bit, but I didn't think I'd be able to show him the series.
So, again, if you haven't picked this up or seen it, really?
Right.
This one's one that I'd be surprised most people have not, if they have not seen. If you haven't, definitely check it out.
Well, a couple more notes. You talked about the music, and the ending theme is actually called the Real Folk Blues, and I love it. I think it's a great. And the opening theme is an instrumental called Tank that's really cool. By the Seatbelts, I think, is the group that does them. Most of the music is by Yoko Kanno, And Yoko Kanno re-teamed with Watanabe for Kids on the Slope. And for the current, I'm really looking forward to, of all the shows coming out this spring, I'm really looking forward to 3. Fruits Basket, Saran Mazai, and Carol and Tuesday, which is the new one from Watanabe and Kanno. So, anyone care to guess what my number 8 is?
7.
No? Still number 8. No, 7.
Well, that's kind of funny.
The only difference is I have the thin back edition. But yes,
Yeah, Bandai.
yeah, the exact same release, the remix edition. I love Cowboy Bebop. Most of what he just said, I agree with. This is one of the coolest shows out there. In terms of sheer cool, the only other show that almost made my list that fits in that groove is Durara, and that one was just, But this one is just so cool. It's so unique. It straddles so many genres perfectly. And it just, and actually, again, from a personal standpoint, he showed me Cowboy Bebop. I had never seen it, and then he showed it to me.
Yeah.
And we were still doing our movie game at the time. And he showed me the movie, which incidentally, the movie takes place about 4 episodes from the end of the series.
Yeah,
or
it
3.
can't take place afterwards.
It's essentially a side story near the end of the series. So if you watch the movie first, there will be minor spoilers for the series, but it stands alone. Like I said, I showed it to my father. He'd never seen an episode. It works fine as a standalone. It's a great film as part of the series. But I was like, we decided to do a paired movie night, and he had never seen Richard Donner's Maverick, which is a great film. It's one of my all-time favorite films. And I watched the 2 back-to-back, the Cowboy Bebop Knocking on Heaven's Door and Maverick, and I was like, Faye Valentine and Annabelle Bransford are cut from the same cloth. They really are. So the 2 of them and Dixie Cousins from Briscoe County Jr. were my inspirations for Connie Bransford, a character I played in One Piece. And that's a long story that I won't go into. But for various reasons, that makes this show even more critically important in my overall. And it is, if you like anime at all, you got to watch the show at some point in your life. It's just one of those shows,
My next one, number 6, is one that many people here were introduced to through Cartoon Network. Me, I was not. I heard about this through Reputation. That was the best way of it. So I had to track it down, but it was terribly out of print. I found a copy of the box without all of the things in it, relatively cheap for the time, and I still am glad I decided to do it because it still has not been released here again. And this is the Satoshi Kon series, Paranoia Agent.
Ah, it's a good one.
As you can see, you got a little slugger here on the cover. It's actually a fairly nice quality box, higher quality than Anaplex's boxes, by the way. And this goes for about Aniplex prices now.
No, those Guinean releases, definitely, if they did not get relicensed.
Volume 1, which is the easiest to get. Volume 2. Volume 3, again, they're gettable.
This is the tough
And then the
to
one
get.
that's... And then these series, getting them piecemeal, is always like 1 or 2. And this one's the hard one to get. That's the high dollar item right there. So, essentially, this series is about a girl and her lovely creation. And you've seen the creation right here. Well,
What's his name? Is it Maro, Marumi, whatever? It's something like that.
I think it's Marumi or something.
Something like that.
But she is under pressure to create a new one of these creations. So while she's in the parking lot, she's attacked by this guy, nicknamed Little Slugger, who is, by the way, now going around terrorizing a bunch of people, hitting them over the head with this baseball bat. Throughout, you get to meet a cast of very creative characters, and you get to participate in a number of strange, yet interesting stories, all revolving around Little Slugger and his adventures. The end wraps up the whole in an interesting little bow that is psychologically and fundamentally strange. Yet, it truly does weave the madness that Kon is known for in his works. This has a wonderful opener
Oh my god, it's great.
where it shows many of the characters doing almost psychotic laughter. I actually really like the artist. I used to have a CD by them. I can't remember the name.
I think I do have that soundtrack.
And the ender is sort of just like an instrumental. It's not as big a deal. But it is just a spectacular series, fairly well animated. It really is. If you liked Parasite, if you liked Perfect Blue, which has been re-released,
Finally.
you will like this series.
And you didn't really mention, you mentioned the psychotic smile on everyone's faces. The opening theme song is very upbeat. It sounds really upbeat. It has almost a choral feel to it, but it's really upbeat. And then it ends with an image of a freaking mushroom cloud, and it's like, it's just one of the great openers. And actually, several of the ones coming up have great openers. And
We lost a true artist with him.
yes, my next one has a very different opener. It truly is an upbeat opener. But it is a very simple, almost hand-drawn, almost looks like a child drew it, which is appropriate.
Ah.
It's this, and that is the opener, of course. This is the series, Usagi Drop, or Bunny Drop, which is absolutely, we talked, I think, last week about
Good
this
choice.
franchise as a whole.
Last vlogcast, anyway.
Yes, this is absolutely a phenomenal anime taken on its own merit. That opening theme is by Puffy Amayumi. It's called Sweet Drops, and it's just really awesome. Basically, the series revolves around, I believe his name is Daikichi, if I remember correctly, and he's a 30-something workaholic who really just doesn't even think about a social life. He just works, and that's it, and he doesn't really have much else going on for him. And at the beginning of the series, he is called home for a funeral for the family patriarch, his grandfather. And his footsteps are dogged by this little girl, this little 5-year-old girl named Ren, who he comes to find out is the grandfather's daughter, supposedly, which weirds him out, but nowhere near as much as his mother. I mean, she's just totally weirded out by it. The whole family treats this girl like a pariah, like she's some weird thing that they have to distance themselves from. And he's sitting there just kind of getting more and more angry. And finally he just snaps and says, "Well, the hell with y'all. I'm taking her home. We're not going to just throw this girl out. She's family." So he takes her home and starts raising her as his daughter. And it's a really sweet, good-hearted show about parenting, about family, friendships. There's a lot of, he meets this mother who he gets along well with, whose son doesn't get along as well. Rin is weird from the get-go. She's mature beyond her years. But so she kind of fits like a square peg with kids her own age, but this one kid tries really hard. It's a great anime. It's really fun. We discussed at length on the vlogcast. This is one you might want to give the manga a miss, but definitely, if you look at the anime by itself, it is one of the best.
At least to the time skip, and
Yeah.
I admit, reading the last part of the manga is what made me not be able to put it on the top 10. It really is a great series.
Mm-hmm.
And taking it on its own, it really is something spectacular, pure, and a little bit magical in and of its own.
Yep.
So, number 5. We're at the halfway point.
All right.
Now, you were talking about Kids on the Slope.
Mhm.
We've been talking about music. This series is all about music. I got an amazing deal on this. Probably one of the more amazing deals I have gotten. And that is Beck, or Mongolian Chop Squad.
That is a cool set. I still, yeah, you got a deal on
I
that.
still got the sticker on it. $4.99. I thought to myself, okay, well, this is just a series box. It probably only has one disc on it. And I opened it up. I was like, wait. Okay, well, I'm going to go purchase that now. And this is back when Movie Stop was still open. Sadly, they have closed.
Yeah.
God bless. And I'll show you the art of these. He's got the last volume. Volume with the drummer. Or the guitarists. One of our leads. And, of course, our lead character. Our lead character is having a hard time with his life, trying to find himself, and ends up hooking up with this group and forming a band. And the group that he's with is a bit older than he is, but they managed to go ahead and form this band called Beck, named after the dog. And the music is very hard rock, kind of, and quite spectacular in its own way. Again, many people might have a harder time with it when they go in because it's a little bit rougher around the edges than a lot of the themes we've been talking about so far. But it is still quite amazing. I really love the first opening theme. And what was it? Full Moon. I can't think of the word, but that's part of it. That song for the Ender is really good, and the version that they sing during the series is even more spectacular when you get to hear one of the female leads singing that.
The opener is hit in the USA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun song.
So, to me, not only you have that, but you have the drama that occurs between the band members and the development. It's a lot like Kids on the Slope in many ways, but not quite the same. If you haven't seen this slice of lifey type series, you definitely need to check it out.
I need to see it. I think I watched a handful of part episodes while you were watching it, but I haven't really fully. It looked good from what I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, my next one up, we're sticking with the NIS sets for just a moment. This is one that I had heard so much praise about it. It was near the top of ANN's list. So when NIS announced that they were going to release it, I put in a pre-order and I got it right away. And this is one that I loved. I instantly loved it. I've seen it a couple times. It is a baldly manipulative series, but I don't give a damn. It's gorgeous. It has wonderful music, and it is a very effective tearjerker. And that is the series Anohana, The Flower We Saw That Day, which basically focuses this group of friends. This is them as adults.
Shiny.
Yes.
Or
This is
teens, anyway.
Oh, shoot, there's a tiny bit of warping there. That's annoying. I didn't realize that had happened. But, basically, when they were kids, when they were about 6 or so, they called themselves the Super Peace Busters, and they were inseparable. They were great friends. And then Menma, who this is just Menma by herself, That's not her actual name, but that was her group name, her nickname. She died in an accident, and it pretty much shattered the group. They ended up going their separate ways, and 10 years later, out of the blue, no explanation, a slightly older Menma shows up and starts haunting Jingtan. That's his nickname. I'm having trouble remembering their actual names. But she shows up and starts haunting him. He's the only one who can see her. And she doesn't know why she's there. She's just kind of there. But she's pushing him to get in touch with the other members of the group. And slowly but surely, the old connections are somewhat reestablished. And eventually it comes to... This is very much a high drama series, to put it mildly. Very much a high drama series. But it's absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, they're phenomenal music, phenomenal animation. They really brought their A game making this show. And the final episode in particular is pretty much a sledgehammer to the gut, in terms of emotion. It's really good. I loved it. I have not yet seen the movie, which is apparently subpar. They apparently retell the story from her vantage point. And since Aniplex is the only one that's released it, and I didn't want to pay $40 for it, I don't have it yet. But, so this is one that, if it didn't have that freaking warping, I'm so upset about that. But still, it is a cool set.
To these sets over time.
It could be. But anyway, there you are.
Alright, number 4. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Yes.
So, this is a series that changed my perception of a particular genre. It actually took that genre and turned it on its head. And this is a good thing, in a good way.
I mean that in a good way.
And that is another Aniplex series called Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I'm giving y'all a rare treat where you can see the expensive Aniplex releases.
And yet the easier one to find nowadays. If you're willing to pay $150 to $200 per volume, it's easy to get this version.
Hey, I paid $150.
You lucked the hell out.
For all of them.
You lucked the hell out. He got these at $150 for all 3. That was slightly a discount when he got them.
So, there's Madoka.
Yeah.
She is our main character. It is deceptive. The opener is deceptive because she does not become a magical girl until closer to the end. I wished I'd known that before I started the series, so I'm giving you all that little information at the beginning.
Don't give them all the spoilers.
Not all of them, no. She is your typical high school girl. She is then approached by this strange-looking creature by the name of Kyubey.
Kyubey.
I was looking to see if there's a picture of him in one of these, but...
Well, just watch Aniplex of America.
Yeah.
They use Kyubey a lot in their videos.
And Kyubey...
or not Aniplex, Anime America.
Yeah, Anime America likes to say, contract? Contract? But Kyubey offers a deal. Saying, I will grant you a wish, and in return you will become a magical girl.
Oh, there he is.
And fight. Yeah, this is a little bit small for people to see. And you will fight these evil witches and banish them for me. Now, it's a contract that seems almost too good to be true. Which it may very well be.
Yeah.
As things turn quite sinister. I won't say in what way, because that's one of the twists of the series.
Suffice it to say, the first time the show bares its teeth, it shocked a lot of people.
Now, the cool thing about this is, one of the coolest things not only is the music spectacular, I love the opener, which, by the way, these have the soundtracks, but no openers or enders.
Yeah, it's annoying.
But, as you can see, this odd art style is the world that they go into when fighting the witches.
Mm-hmm.
It is very imaginative, spectacularly dark, and unlike any Magical Girl series I had ever seen prior.
Mm-hmm.
She is the seasoned Magical Girl when you start off.
Mommy.
And the other Magical Girl that was starting off is this one, who keeps killing off the Cubes for some reason.
Homura.
See, he remembers all the Japanese names. Mine,
I tried.
They go over my head.
And I want to say, is it Satomi or whatever is the blue-haired girl? Or Sachiko? It starts with an S.
But the series not only has spectacular music and visuals,
Mm-hmm.
it has a story and twist that is like no other. So to me, I had to have it. It was the first time I even considered buying an Aniplex title, and eventually put forth the money.
And this show is one of the reasons why I am so critical of Aniplex, because it's freaking impossible to get that show now unless you're willing to pay an arm and a leg. They were expensive to come from the get-go, but they did a very limited run here in the States.
Yeah.
And
They rarely go on sale. And they have gotten to this point of now saying, well, if we can't sell them, instead of putting them on sale, we'll just keep them until they sell out, print limited numbers, and then they go out of print.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is why it can't be my number one.
on the very, very opposite end of the scale,
Something cheap.
we have a show that has had multiple American releases.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
So we have a show that he introduced me to. He said, this is a great show. You got to watch it. It's one of the best, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I admit it is one of the best. And actually, as we get into my next three, I'm not really wedded to the order that I ended up with. I really have trouble figuring out whether this is the correct order. But this may be the least flawed of my top four, and yet it's number 4. I don't know. But this is a show that has had multiple releases. I think I probably have the 3rd edition in my collection, and I think it's the same edition he has. But I am still waiting for a complete release of the damn show. And I'm speaking, of course, of Kino no Tabi, or Kino's Journey. This is a series that has had multiple ADV releases, followed by multiple Sentai releases. Sentai recently put it out on Blu-ray for the first time, but this is one of the older ADV releases. They have never put out the 3 OVA episodes, and I'm still freaking waiting. Even with what should have been a peak of interest from a new series that Funimation is releasing, still no sign of the OVAs. But basically, the way that I have often kind of half-jokingly described this to people is that it's Gulliver's Travels only depressing. It centers on Kino, who's a young girl, although she's fairly androgynous for most of the series, and really, except for the Land of Adults, which is her origin story, and one of the unreleased OVAs, which is where she trains, you really see very little of her as a girl. She's just Kino. And she actually took the name from a guy who came to her land in the Land of Adults. Basically, each episode, I think there's one 2-part episode in this series. I think the Colosseum one is a 2-parter. In each episode, she and her talking motorrad Hermes, basically he's a bike that, they go around from country to country. This seems to be a nation of, or a world of city-states. That's kind of the impression I get.
Yeah.
And generally, you go to a country and you're kind of within a small area. So it's sort of, it seems to be a world of city-states. But basically, she goes from country to country with a very strict 3-day rule. She observes for 3 days and moves on. And there's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's just what she does. And she has a strict non-interference policy, which is put to the test a few times.
Yeah.
And basically, it's an opportunity to see a lot of illustrations of the potential darkness of humanity. You see some really messed up countries in this series. But the most depressing part is that the final episode is not the final episode chronologically. It's clear that it takes place early in the story. But just ending the series with that was like a great instance of incredible editing. It just ends the show with a gut punch, and it's just... And not to mention that the show is competently animated. It's not the most gorgeous series, but it's nice visually. The opening theme, All the Way, by Mikuni Shimokawa, is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely incredible opener. And the ending theme, The Beautiful World, is sung by Ai Maeda, who is the seiyuu for Kino, and who also had a cameo in Kill Bill Volume 1, by the way. But it's a nice song. It's very pretty, very melodic. I fell in love with the ender and eventually decided the opener was my favorite.
Yeah.
But this is just an incredible show. It's well worth watching. It's a good one for people who might not necessarily be anime fans, but it's definitely worth checking out.
I will not comment on this yet.
I had a feeling it'd be in here.
Number 3. Alright, well, speaking of, I also have one that might look fairly similar, but a different version. And that is, again, Kino's Journey.
Oh, you have the thick edition.
Same thing. I actually like this edition. It's
Yeah.
really cool looking.
Yeah.
Almost feels like a book. And we have here, of course, the volumes. There's Kino and...
Actually, I think that's Sakura,
Is it?
the girl in the final episode.
I know that there was... I thought there was one picture of her when she was in... Yeah, of course, you see that picture. And, of course... Here, this was introduced to me in this very... Not this very set, but... this was the set that was introduced to me for the series. A mutual friend of ours had introduced me to this and Jing the Bandit King side by side in these similar box sets. Again, higher quality boxes. Look at this. Look how thin that is. Flimsy, not flimsy.
Right.
Flimsy,
ADV made
Not
great
flimsy.
sets. They really did.
cheap,
Yeah.
extremely expensive.
Right.
Go figure.
Go figure.
But I was introduced to those. I didn't care much for Jing. I loved this series. I loved the storytelling. I loved the artistic way it went about itself. And it captivated me. It was one of those series I just kept having to watch episode after episode. I wanted to know what was going to happen with each adventure. Yet, it's also a series that you could put down and watch episodically.
Because it is very episodic. Yeah.
But it was extremely hard to put down. I love the OVAs, and I'm sad that we have yet to have a release out of like the billion releases that have been out for this series. It's been re-released constantly, so you will not have trouble finding a copy of this fairly cheap.
And we're not exaggerating. If I'm not mistaken, there have been at least 5 official releases. I think there may have been 6.
And a release of the new series,
Yeah.
which was, I've heard, not as good as the old one.
No.
But it's just one of those series that blew me away. And not many series have that power. And that's the reason why this is number 3 for me.
All right. Now, my number 3 will, if you recall the list I started our show with, according to ANN's viewers, this and the movie Your Name are the best anime in existence. I put it at number 3, but I love it. And that is the series Hangane no Renkinjutsu Shu or something. I thought I could remember it and I forgot it. Sorry.
That series.
That series. But it is also known as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And it is the remix, if you will, of Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist is an excellent series. It had a very controversial... Whoa. It had a very controversial departure from the manga that blew it for a lot of people. But it was still extremely well done Studio Bones effort, if I remember correctly. Wonderful music, and it really did introduce effectively much of what makes the show great. Brotherhood was an attempt to reboot that and get it more effectively featured the manga story. Unfortunately, they tried a little too hard not to retread previous ground. So the first 2 episodes move at, move at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
Where they cover events that took place over about 7 or 8 episodes of the original series. And certain characters get short-shrifted. You spend less time with Nina Tucker. You spend a lot less time with Mice Hughes, who was one of the best characters in the first series. Both of them, still, what happens in this series still tugs the heartstrings a little bit. But this one goes on from there to tell a story that's very radically different from the first series, and it's really good. Really, really good. And it features the Elric brothers, which Edward Elric is this dude right here, and Alphonse. Don't really have an image here, but Alphonse basically.
I think they would have.
You'd think they would. So basically, the Elrics were kids when their mother died, and they were heartbroken. And one thing that both versions of the series make pretty much drive home to you are the rules of alchemy. This is a series where alchemy has essentially replaced science. And most of the world, alchemists are very important people. They are government-sponsored. There's like an entire branch of government alchemists who are, the state alchemists. And into this world, Edward and Alphonse had always had an interest in alchemy. Their mother died when they were very young, and they decided to break one of the taboos of alchemy. They tried to bring her back. That human transmutation is one of the big taboos of alchemy. You don't do it. So they tried to bring back their deceased mother, and Edward lost his arm, and Alphonse lost his body. And Ed, in order to not lose his brother, bonded Al's soul to a suit of armor at the cost of his leg. So Ed loses 2 appendages, and Al loses his body. And then Roy Mustang, a state alchemist who is known as the Flame Alchemist, sort of taps Ed to join the state and what have you. And they give him the rather ironic name. He has a very, very, very dear childhood friend, Winry, who, along with her grandmother, Pinako, they are automail mechanics, which is sort of this world's version of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Cybernetics?
Cybernetic prosthetics. Yeah. And he has a cybernetic arm and leg. So he is somewhat ironically called Full Metal Alchemist. And everyone thinks Al is the Full Metal Alchemist because he is all metal. and much of the series is the 2 of them are on an adventure but it's a very serious adventure. They're trying to find the Philosopher's Stone so that they can turn Al back. And Ed kind of would like his arm and his leg back, but really they're trying to turn Al back. And they're obsessed with this idea. And along the way, they meet tons of new people. A great character in the first series, you see Major Armstrong, who is an amusing character. But the second series introduces his sister, who's an interesting piece of work. You've also got the Fuhrer, who, this cover kind of gives a little bit away. But the Fuhrer is the one in charge of the country, and you'll learn as the series goes on, he has some ties to a shady group known as the Homunculi. I'm not going to go into any more detail about the Homunculi. The first three, Envy, Lust, and Sloth, are very much prominent in the beginning of both series. Yeah. So you're not getting much spoilers about them. They're very similar, although Envy has a much bigger role in the second series, and you'll learn a lot more about Envy, and that one becomes more of a spoiler if I get into it. You also have a lot of other fun characters. Roy has his right-hand adjutant, Riza Hawkeye, who is a great kind of badass, military person. You've got, who was I going to mention next? Scar, who's this terrorist who has the ability to blow stuff up, and who you come to realize Scar has a very interesting way of factoring into the story. It is basically a political thriller, is the best way. A political thriller / adventure series / kind of magic series, because alchemy is a lot like magic. There's a lot of really fun stuff, phenomenal music. This does have some great themes. The opening theme of the first series, again by Yui, is one of my very favorites. I know you prefer the themes from the first series,
yes,
but they're still really, both series had wonderful music. Again, Studio Bones did some top-notch work with both series. If you can get over the pacing issues of the first few episodes, and the fact that you kind of need to see the first series to get all the emotional impact, this is still one of the best series out there. It's a little bit of a time suck. It's, 60 episodes? So it's 64 episodes total. So be aware of that going in, but it is well worth the effort.
I really do like both series. I'm one of those few people who prefers the first series over the second. But both series are fundamentally flawed, and that's why I could not put them on my list. The flaws of the first one, just the rush at the beginning, and I admit I didn't care for the end. Both of those kind of damaged it for me, and the other one, I don't know why, but I always associate with dragging a little bit. But both really good series, so I do admit they are high on my list. And
they do feature, and I briefly mentioned that one of the other ones that made A&N's list, Code Geass. One thing that I think there's some similarities, and one thing that I think is similar that is worth mentioning, I'm not going to say who, but both series featured at least 2 prominent, likable characters getting dicked over to a degree very rarely matched in any show ever. And so that definitely factors into the emotional component. Plus, I just love Winry. I think she's freaking awesome. I loved Mize Hughes. He is such a great character. And, the Elrics are pretty fun. They overplay Edward's chibi anger issues. Kind of like lean inverse a little bit there, but
I've read the manga.
I want to read it.
And that one is definitely the better one to the manga. But there's something about the weird ending of the first one. I'm probably the only one who likes it. But it's just entertaining. So number 2. Now we're getting into the big ones.
Yes.
This is one that I have that is 8 volumes long. I am not going to run through all 8 volumes. If you dragged all 8 volumes, I would be surprised that you would want to drag them all over here. but I'm sure this is also on your list as well.
I
This
wonder.
is a series by an author that also did Ranma, but I consider this higher rated. Yet, this series is much harder to nail down. Even watching it streaming is a little bit harder. And that is Maison Ikoku. Now, I decided, as my representative, to bring the white whale of the series, Volume 8. This one is usually always high dollar. Matter of fact, I think I ended up getting you that as a Christmas
You
gift.
did.
And I found it for a price that I knew you couldn't afford at the time, but was one that I could not turn down. I mean, the series stars I'm not going to show that because that's spoilers. Matter of fact, they're all spoilers there, so I'm just going to just show them on the cover there.
Right.
Stars this guy named, I think it's Yotsu Godai. Godai, I remember the name.
Yusaku Godai, yes.
And he is a student. But not just any student, a Ronin, which means he keeps flunking his entrance exam, so he can't get into college.
Yes.
And he is staying at this place, this boarding house,
Yes.
Maison Ikoku, which is the home to a lot of very strange people.
Which do offer him some explanation for his inability to pass those exams.
So he wants to leave because of these people.
Yes.
But this new manager moves in. This new sexy manager who is a recent widow. And he wants to get with said manager. So he decides to stick around. And like many Rumiko Takahashi romances, it is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But unlike many Rumiko Takahashi series, this one has a definitive ending. Ranma is awesome, but Ranma does not end. This one does end. Not just in the manga, which is really good. They even left out a character that was in the manga, which is sad because he was an entertaining character.
They gave a couple of his scenes to other characters.
Yeah.
Like the scene where they all decide to tail Mitaka I think was his doing. But they ended up having the other characters took that on.
So, in the way, you've got Mr. Yatsura? Was it
Yotsuya.
Yotsuya, who is extremely strange and always greedy and willing to steal from him and take advantage of him. Well, actually, that's about a trait of all of them.
Yeah.
Akimi, kind of the one who flaunts herself around a lot.
The sex pot lush.
You have got, of course, the wife. God, what's her name?
Ichinose.
Ichinose and her kids, which are annoying. Mr. Ichinose is entertaining, and you don't see him very often.
Which is probably why he's not on that cover there.
His friends, you can see
Yeah.
in the background. Mitaka, the love rival. And I don't think they have Yuzuru. Is it Yuzuru? I think it is.
Who?
Yuzuru, I think it's her.
Oh, no,
Yuzuru? It started with the Y.
no, it's a K, I think. Is it Kazumi?
Oh, well, that's her. She is the other love rival.
Yeah.
Who has, of course, fallen for Godai.
Yeah.
Whereas Godai has fallen for her. So it's kind of cool to see those play out. There are also little quirks which I will not spoil for you. He might.
And the high school pest that follows him around.
And she's a lot later on in the
Yes,
series.
she is.
But I'm not going to spoil for you a lot of this. I will admit the flaws that keep it from number 1 is, I admit, after a while, these people annoy me.
Yes.
And therefore I cannot give it my number 1 spot, but it is by far my favorite romantic comedy. Unless you consider the number 1, though, I consider that more of slice of life.
Right.
So this is like I said, 8-volume set. How many? 88 episodes.
No, 96
Sorry,
episodes.
96. Yeah, sorry, I was looking here. and worth every penny if you can find it. And the first 4 volumes are reasonable because they were mass-produced.
This one also has unreleased OVA episodes. I think
Yes.
there were 3 of them. At least one of
And a
them.
movie.
And a movie, which inexplicably, the movie is a completely different studio, different art style, everything. Inexplicably, the missing neighbor is in the movie.
Yes.
But the missing one of the OVAs is a clip show, so forget it. But one of them animates a very amusing episode from the manga that did not make it into the series. And I cannot for the life of me remember what the third
I remember the
one was.
movie. I thought the movie was The Island. Was the movie?
No, that was
the
one of the
OVA.
OVAs.
Okay.
The movie simply took place between
Yeah.
the... well, I can't really say what it took place between because that gets into spoiler territory. There's also a really cool 2-episode live-action special for this series that needs an American
And a
release.
live-action movie.
Yes, I've not yet fully seen that. But at any rate, speaking of romantic series, the next one I'm going to present is one that is one of those I mentioned some shows are quite divisive. This is one that was highly divisive.
Ping Pong Club?
No. If we were doing a worst of, I would have the Ping Pong Club. No. This is a series that I absolutely love, but whereas I said Full Metal Brotherhood suffers slightly if you've not seen the first series, this one suffers dramatically because it is a sequel series. However, the first series is a fairly different beast and is not in my top 10 by any stretch. And I am talking, of course, of Clannad After Story. Now, the original Clannad is a straight-up harem series based on a visual novel dating sim, basically. And it feels like a dating sim in a lot of ways. However, it's really good. As harem series go, it is one of the best. It's beautifully animated. It's well written. It is based on a key series by Jun Maeda, and Jun Maeda has a few particular quirks. One of them is he's obsessed with tearjerkers. Another is he's obsessed with weird, random stuff. One of the girls in Clannad is a ghost. I won't tell you who because it's a spoiler, but he you know, if you saw Air, then that's a much weirder show than Clannad. But he loves them tearjerkers. He loves his only other series I would almost rate with Clannad is Angel Beats. That was a really, really, really good one. I still need to see Charlotte and Little Busters and a couple of the others. But at any rate, Clannad is a great series. It's well serviceable. It's got gorgeous music, beautiful animation. It's a KyoAni production. This one takes everything in the first half of After Story is a continuation of Clannad. And that's one of the biggest issues with this series, is that the pacing. The first half is a continuation of Clannad, and then it goes into a different territory. And what makes this series stand apart for me, what makes it, for me, be one of the greatest shows of all time, is that it goes into territory very few anime do, and does it well. Basically, in the original series, Nagisa Furukawa, is essentially the primary route that you're supposed to take. There are multiple additional routes, and Tomoyo is so popular, she has her own game that came out afterwards. But she gets an episode, and Kyo gets an episode in this series as OVA, basically spin-off episodes. Nagisa is the main one. In the game, if you beat the good route, you get After Story. And then you go on to where Tomoya, the main guy, and Nagisa marry and have kid and all this stuff. And like I said, it goes into very different territory than most anime. Most anime, the romance, they hook up, that's it. You don't see what happens after. So I really like that they went there, that they really went into the after. And it is a very effective tearjerker. Some would say way too baldly manipulative. And a lot of people didn't like the ending, which I like the ending a lot because I like happy endings. But, well, I won't say it's happy, but it's not what it could have been. The movie was flat out depressing.
I preferred the movie.
This never got anywhere as depressing as the movie. And the movie was much more weakly animated, so, But the other reason why I absolutely love this series is Nagisa's parents. Sanai and Akio Furukawa are the best couple in anime ever. And they are one of the best comedy duos in television ever. They are a wonderful comedy duo. They are wonderful. I love them. The only real flaw is that Sanai is animated in such a way that she looks like Nagisa's sister. It's kind of weird. But it's just, I don't know. I love the show. I know it's flawed. I know that it's a divisive pick. I am on the fence about whether this one, Kino or Full Metal, should be in the number 2 slot, but I love it.
The ending blew it for me because it's not an effective tearjerker on me now that I know the ending. And I can't say why because it would ruin it for everybody else. To me, the movie was more effective in what it was trying to pull. But that's why I couldn't put it on my list.
And it's also worth noting that, again, a time investment. You do have to watch the first series first, and by the time you're done, you've watched about 50 episodes. So be aware of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, before we hit number 1, let's talk about some honorable mentions.
Okay.
Our honorable mentions are supposed to be something very different, which is just something that we don't have in our collection that we would hold in high esteem, whether they were released or not. Mine was not. Mine is Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, which had numerous series. It is a very fun series chronicling the adventures of a teacher who was introduced to their student in the most interesting way.
Yes.
And he teaches a very, very flawed group of students. It has some very entertaining opener and enders. I'm going to make this quick because we are running at 1 hour and 20 already. But it is highly entertaining, very wordy, but a lot easier to follow than this. I'm one day hoping that this and Tatami Galaxy get American releases.
Yeah, Media Blasters had the license for a while, and they never did anything with it, the bastards.
Sad.
But I have to actually agree. There were a couple that I was tempted on. I was very tempted to include this as my runner-up because I want this show, and it is awesome. And I thought about Tenchi no Kanamaeki, a Cheeky Angel, which is another one that desperately needs an American release.
Definitely on
But
the list.
Nozomu Toshiki is one of my favorite characters. He's essentially Japanese Charlie Brown. And his class, Kafka Fura, is the one who finds him hanging in the cherry trees. She is his polar opposite. He is clinically depressed. He sees the worst in everything. She is psychotically optimistic. That is the best way to put it. She is psychotically optimistic. And everyone in the class is a quirk ramped up to, you have the extremely obsessive compulsive girl. You have the hikikomori, the stalker, all these different characters, and not to mention the music is incredible. Zesse Bijin, the ending theme to the first series, is still my all-time favorite anime theme, and most of the enders and a couple of the openers are among my favorite anime themes. It is just a phenomenal music to the series. Needs an American release.
Well,
So,
that was an easy one. So we're on to our number 1.
Yes!
All right, I know you've been waiting on this. This is my all-time favorite series. And there have been many that have come close, but none that have quite managed to edge past it since I've seen the series. It has a personal note for me. I know you don't quite feel the same about the series that I do, but for me, Honey and Clover is my favorite series. Of course, I have these, and these have gone up, unfortunately, because they've gone out of print, but they're awesome sets.
Yeah.
They also released Nana in sets like this, which are really cool. Also a good series, by the way.
Yeah.
I recently picked up another one by this author, and it's an Aniplex release that you will see in a pickup video in the near future. But this is another volume here, and a volume here. When I was in college, I had similar thoughts and experiences to the characters. And these are characters that are going to art school. It's a slice of life series, and many of them are living around the same building. Not quite the same as Maison Ikoku. But our main character falls in love with this kind of little girl who is not quite... She's actually an adult, but she looks like a little girl. Who is this artistic genius. And they live together in this building with these various other artistic types, with this extremely strange one, an eccentric one also, that goes through. The series talks about unrequited love, love triangles, and the daily struggles of just trying to find yourself and your place in society. Things I myself could relate to, especially at the time that I was watching this series. I have experienced those types of feelings myself, many of them. The feelings of being lost, the feelings of loving someone who does not care for you. These are things that relate to me on a personal level, and to me, make this the perfect series. The opener is so-so. The voice could grate on you a little bit. It's very nasally. But I love the enders. And in general, I have nothing bad to say. Even the art style is artistic.
It is artistic. Art is artistic. Now, I will admit, I love Honey and Clover. I think it's an incredibly well-made series, and I was impressed by it. But I didn't love it to the degree that he did. I don't think it would make my top 15. But if I were to rewatch it, which I will eventually, it's sitting on my shelf to be watched, I think I probably will appreciate it more on a second go-round. The art style does take getting used to. And that was a bit of a knock for me the first time. But, you know, it's definitely a good one. Now...
So did you bring the whole
my
series
number
with
one,
you?
I did.
Wow.
So he thought I wouldn't do it. He thought I couldn't. And yet, here we are. We have my number one series, which if you've watched this channel, you know is my number one series, because I make no bones about it. Rumiko Takashi's Maison Ikoku. Here we have number one. We have number two. We have number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8.
Your journey to getting all of these was a lot more intensive than mine.
Oh yeah, it took. You got it all in one fell swoop, didn't you?
Yeah, I got lucky.
I got lucky on a couple of these, but yeah, in the end, most of it was gifts. I think I paid for volumes 5 and 6 actually, but I probably paid about a couple hundred, if that, for what I did get. But no, actually, it was probably more like a 150.
I provided the end caps.
You did, yes, you did. He actually provided me with the first volume, which was my first exposure to the series, frankly. And I have since read it
Oh yeah,
It
awesome manga.
is the only Takahashi one I have read in its entirety. And I have read it in its entirety. One of the reasons I like the show is that it is a quite faithful adaptation of the manga. I mentioned, they left out one character, and strangely enough, we didn't really touch on this, but Ranma 1/2 inserted a major character instead of leaving one out.
Yeah.
It left out.
They left out the character and inserted it.
They left a lot of later characters out, but did they leave any early ones out?
Oh yeah, the character that they inserted replaced a character.
Oh, okay, never mind. So
he showed up in the OVA, but they did not.
Oh right, that was
Yeah.
the dude with the
Candles on there.
yeah, the voodoo
Yeah.
sort of character, yeah. So at any rate, Ikoku, we've already said a lot that needs to be said about it. We haven't really talked on the music for that one, but it had some really good theme songs.
Yeah.
See, the first opening theme song, Kanashimi yo Konnichiwa, or Hello Sadness, it's a wonderful song. There's a song on there called Cinema that I loved a lot.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. A lot of it sounds very 80s, which makes sense because it
Yeah.
is an 80s series. But it's really good. The animation is pretty darn good for an 80s anime. I don't know there's really a whole lot to say that we haven't said already. Ikoku I love it. Absolutely love it. I can't really get into all my reasons for loving it without getting into spoilers, and I really would rather not do that because, it's such an awesome show. It's worth watching. It is a shame that it's so unbelievably hard to get hold of. I don't think it's streaming, or if it is, Viz does have a streaming channel. It'd be nice if they'd make an effort to put most of their catalog on there.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if they would re-release it because I think they still have I think they still have the rights to it. I know they have the rights to the manga, but it'd be nice if they would clean it up and do a Blu-ray release. Or,
with the OVAs and movies. It'd be
as
nice.
much as I love having this, I would love to have it take up that much space on my shelf or less, rather than so
I don't
much.
know, as much of an effort as you went. I couldn't
know,
part
it's-
with it. I would be still displaying it
I
somewhere.
probably would keep it just
Yes.
on principle, for the principle of the thing. But and again, some of the characters, Kyoko Tanashi is one of my favorite characters. I think she can be a little unreasonable at times. That's putting it kindly. But she is mostly a very believable and very good character. She is or tries her best to be a good apartment manager.
Far more likable than Akane.
Far more likable in some ways. Godai is likable, but Kozue, that was his girlfriend.
Kozue, yeah.
Kozue. He really strung her out way too much. It really was sad. And Mitaka is a suitable rival, and I said before, Takahashi sometimes would work on the same stereotypes in a lot of ways. Shun Mitaka is a more realistic, more restrained version of Shutaro Mendo from Osayatsura. He has a lot in common with Mendo. And then, of course, they gave rise to the Kunos.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kuno is going in the opposite direction.
Exactly. And then it's the neighbors again. I loved Yotsuya initially. I still think the egg episode is one of my... I tried to do that in game and it didn't work.
No.
But it's a fun series. It's a really good series. It is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I still wait for it to reach a new audience, one of these days. And that does it for me, I guess. Does it for you?
Yeah, I'm not going to take it much longer on this, but what is your favorite anime series?
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments down below. Shoot, give us your top 10.
By all means, let us know. Compare notes. I'm curious what, again, going with this ANN one, I have never seen Mushishi. That's one I need to see.
I haven't.
Made in Abyss is so new. I'm surprised it made their list.
I am surprised.
Code Geass is one that I considered. I do love the series, and I'll admit the second half is better than the first. But, and the one that just missed the cut was Death Note. That's one where I would defer with a lot of people on that.
Yeah, well, I'd be okay if they just put up the first half.
But yes, again, we are very curious what others would say and do, and also, do you like this format? Is this better for you than the ones we've been doing? We think this will be fun for certain topics, at least.
Well, we'll be hitting this for 2 more videos that will round our anime up. Our next one is going to be an anime list that will talk about anime that was influential in our lives. So we'll be talking about the series as much as how it was there.
One?
Yeah, and then the last one will be our favorite anime films.
Yes, that's going to be fun.
And specials, because we put those 2 together.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we will see you on the next one.
Goodbye.